What if I told you that Jesus Christ was never born in year zero, and that our entire calendar system might be off by several years? What if the date that supposedly changed the world forever isn't what billions of people think it is? What if every birthday, every holiday, every historical milestone you've ever learned about is based on a calculation that was wrong from the very beginning? I'm here with Christian curiosity, and if you are ready to uncover the fascinating truth behind our calendar as origins and discover why scholars believe Jesus was actually born before Christ, hit that subscribe button and let's dive into this mind-bending mystery. Here's something that will completely reshape how you think about time itself. There is no year zero in our calendar system. None. We go straight from 01 BC to 01 AD, as if that pivotal year simply vanished from existence. But that's just the beginning of this historical puzzle that has confused scholars for centuries. Most biblical scholars and historians today believe Jesus was actually born somewhere between 6 and 04 BC. Yes, you heard that correctly. According to our own calendar system, Jesus Christ was born before Christ. The irony is staggering when you think about it. How could something this fundamental be wrong? The answer takes us back to a 6th century monastery where one monk's miscalculation shaped how humanity marks time forever. The story begins in Rome in the year 525 AD with a Scythian monk named Dionysius Exiguus. His name literally means Denis the Little, which seems fitting for someone who would make such a colossal error in calculating the most important date in Christian history. Pope John I had commissioned Dionysius with a seemingly simple task: create a new calendar system to replace the existing one. You see, at that time, years were counted from the reign of Emperor Diocletian, who had brutally persecuted Christians. The Church wanted to distance itself from this dark legacy. Dionysius proposed something revolutionary, counting years from the birth of Jesus Christ himself. But here's where the story gets fascinating. Dionysius was working with severely limited historical records, no computers, no databases, no internet research. He had to piece together fragments of information from various sources, many of which contradicted each other. Think about the challenge he faced. How do you calculate backwards through centuries of incomplete records, conflicting accounts, and political upheaval? Dionysius made his best estimate and declared that Jesus was born in what he called Anno Domini 1, the first year of our Lord. He never created a year zero because the mathematical concept of zero didn't exist in Roman numerals, and Europeans wouldn't adopt the concept for several more centuries. But what does the Bible actually reveal about the timing of Jesus' birth? The clues are scattered throughout the Gospels, and they paint a picture that contradicts our calendar. Matthew's Gospel provides our first crucial piece of evidence. Matthew 2:1 clearly states that Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king. This isn't just a casual reference. It's a specific historical anchor that completely changes everything. Historical records from multiple sources, including the Jewish historian Josephus, confirm that King Herod the Great died in 04 BC. This creates an impossible situation for our calendar. If Jesus was born during Herod's reign, and Herod died in 04 BC, then Jesus absolutely had to be born before 04 BC, not in 01 AD. Luke's Gospel adds another layer to this chronological puzzle. Luke 2:1-2 mentions that Jesus was born during a census ordered by Caesar Augustus when Quirinius was governor of Syria. Archaeological evidence and historical records suggest this census occurred around 6 to 07 BC, again placing Jesus' birth several years before our calendar suggests. Every time you write today's date, you're using a system that's fundamentally flawed. But the biblical evidence goes even deeper. Matthew 2:16 tells us that after the wise men failed to return to Herod with information about the infant Jesus, the king sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, and in all the coasts thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. Why is this detail so significant? Herod ordered the death of children up to 2 years old based on when the star had appeared to the wise men. This suggests Jesus could have been born up to 2 years before the wise men's visit, potentially placing his birth as early as 6 or 07 BC. The Gospel accounts consistently point to a birth date several years before our calendar's starting point. Luke provides additional chronological evidence that scholars use to work backwards. In Luke 3-1, we read told that John the Baptist began his ministry in the 10th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar. Historical records show Tiberius began his reign in 14 AD, placing John's ministry around 29 AD. Luke 3:23 tells us Jesus was about 30 years of age when he began his ministry, which started shortly after John's. If Jesus was 30 in 29 or 30 AD, simple mathematics places his birth around 01 BC or earlier, again supporting a date before our calendar's supposed starting point. Here's something most people never consider. Different gospel writers approached this dating question from different angles, yet they all point to the same general time frame. What about the famous Star of Bethlehem? Astronomers have identified several celestial events that occurred during the proposed time frame. Between 7 and 02 BC, there were remarkable planetary conjunctions, including a triple conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in the constellation Pisces in 07 BC, and a conjunction of Jupiter and Venus in 02 BC that would have created an extraordinarily bright star visible to ancient astronomers. These astronomical events provide independent confirmation that something significant was happening in the heavens during those years, exactly when biblical and historical evidence suggests Jesus was born. The census mentioned in Luke's Gospel has sparked decades of scholarly debate. Some historians initially questioned whether such a census occurred, but archaeological discoveries continue to reveal the extensive administrative practices of the Roman Empire. Papyrus documents from Egypt show that Romans conducted regular censuses every 14 years, and people were indeed required to return to their ancestral homes for registration. Recent archaeological findings have revealed that Roman record-keeping was far more sophisticated than previously understood. So why did Dionysius get it wrong? The monk was working 6 centuries after the events he was trying to date. He had to reconcile conflicting historical records, account for different calendar systems used by various cultures, and make sense of incomplete documentation. Some sources counted years differently. Some started their year at different times, and political upheaval had disrupted record-keeping throughout the empire. Imagine trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle with half the pieces missing and no picture on the box to guide you. The irony deepens when you realize that our BCD system wasn't widely adopted until centuries after Dionysius created it. Different regions continued using their own dating systems for hundreds of years. The Islamic calendar starts from Muhammad's migration to Medina in 622 AD. The Jewish calendar counts from what they calculate as the creation of the world. Our calendar's dominance came through cultural and political influence, not necessarily accuracy. What does this mean for our understanding of history and faith? First, it reveals the human element in how we organize and understand time. Our calendar isn't divinely inspired. It's a human creation with human limitations and human errors. Yet it has shaped how billions of people think about history, spirituality, and their place in time. Second, it demonstrates that the exact year of Jesus' birth matters less than the historical reality of his existence and impact. Whether he was born in 06 BC, 04 BC, or 02 BC, the fact remains that this birth divided human history. Our entire global dating system revolves around this single event, regardless of whether we calculated the exact year correctly. The calendar stands as an unintentional testament to Christ's influence on human civilization. Third, this dating discrepancy highlights the importance of archaeological evidence and historical research in understanding biblical events. Rather than undermining faith, these discoveries often provide fascinating context that deepens our understanding of the biblical narrative. Consider the broader implications. Every historical date before approximately 500 AD relies on calculations that work backward from later fixed points. The further back we go, the more uncertainty creeps into our dating systems. Yet we've built our entire historical framework on these calculations. What other assumptions about biblical chronology might need re-examination? The next time someone wishes you Happy New Year, remember that you're celebrating a date that's probably off by several years. The next time you see AD after a date, remember that it stands for Anno Domini, the year of our Lord, based on a 6th century monk's best guess about when that Lord was actually born. This dating mystery opens profound questions about how we understand ancient history, the reliability of historical records, and the complex relationship between faith and scholarship. It reminds us that even our most fundamental assumptions about time itself might need a closer look. The truth behind our calendar reveals something remarkable about human nature. We've organized our entire concept of historical time around one birth in a small Middle Eastern town, even though we're not entirely sure when it happened. What other hidden mysteries lie buried in the timeline of biblical history? What other surprising truths await discovery in the intersection between archaeology, history, and faith? Stay tuned. See you in the next video.